As you start to go on a journey for a third, the pressure just tends to build. That was Kirby Smart talking about Georgia heading into yet another season trying to win a national championship. And the Dogs, um, I mean, they're the favorite right now, and I don't think that's going to change until they lose a game or two, or perhaps somebody just looks unstoppable. But this Georgia team right now or this Georgia program, excuse me, is in very good position to win national championships, plural, as we go on over time. I mean, I think that when you take a look at the recruiting, the development of players, Georgia's where you want to be in college football. No question. I mean, they're just doing a better job than everybody else, or at least they have. Now there's some challenges, right? There's some real challenges as we get closer to the season. We don't officially know who the starting quarterback is. I mean, I think we have a pretty good idea who it probably is. We don't know what it's going to be like when Mike Bobo is calling plays. Probably have a pretty good idea of, sort of what that's going to look like. I mean, Mike was very successful often at Georgia. And, his detractors notwithstanding, he has done a very good job over time scoring points in the Southeastern Conference. So I don't think that's going to be that's going to, if you dislike Mike, then, then you're going to be all over him. If not, Mike's never had the sort of skill that he's got with him right now. He just has never had that at Georgia. He's had Todd Gurley. He had Aaron Murray. He had those two guys in one of the same seasons. I mean, he had Todd Gurley with Hudson Mason as the quarterback and broke the scoring records at Georgia. So he's just had a tremendous he's been pretty good, generally speaking. Now, when he's not had players, not been very good. I mean, look at Jim Chaney. It was no different. So I think Mike's resume speaks for itself. Speaking of which, make sure you're picking up the 2024 or 2023 Dawg Post preview. We've got a lot in here that you're going to want to make sure you're reading. You can pick it up or you can grab Double Dogs. If you get Double Dogs, you're going to get the 2024 preview included in the packaging. Last year I ran out of these and we're already through a chunk of them. So make sure you're ordering that. The link is down below. And I think that we're officially hitting the summer here as we get to Memorial Day and mosey on into the summer. The camps will start for the Dogs and in their pursuit of 2024, 25, and 26 prospects. But I think for Georgia, this is another year where you really want to try your best to win the national championship. I mean, you don't know when it will go off the rails. And I don't think that things have gone off the rails in Clemson. They went off the rails at Florida State for sure. And, you're seeing how hard it's been. 10 years later, they're still, not where they want to be, Florida State. So it can change on you quick. And when you look at, the odds to win the national championship, Georgia's odds continue to get better, or the fields continue to get worse, whichever way you want to look at it. Georgia at about 220 plus 230, something like that, for their odd to win the national championship. It's almost 3 times better than Alabama, who's at plus 600, and Ohio State, who's around the same universe. Michigan at plus 1,000, SC and UCLA both at 1,600. Then Florida State at 1,800. So these are all programs that have, really, I mean, you look at Ohio State 2014 national championship, Alabama 2020 was the most recent one. Michigan's not won it since 97. SC's not won it since 04, LSU won it in 19. Florida State's won it in 13. So with the exception of Michigan, Florida State has been the furthest away that's highest up on the list. Clemson at plus 2,000 after Florida State is tied with Penn State. I wouldn't want to be in those two shoes. If you're Clemson, the ACC has caught you in the form of Florida State. I don't know that they'll win the league, Florida State, but they got to go to Clemson. But when you look at the situation at Georgia, they're not playing Alabama this season. They might play Alabama this season. LSU has got to go on the road to play Alabama, but It could totally be that that those two schools, LSU and Georgia, meet again in the SEC championship, and this time it probably won't be a total Georgia romp. Although we don't really know. We don't know. I mean, LSU at some stage under Brian Kelly is going to be good. That's a great picture there. That's in Double Dogs. I don't know when that will be, but they're not going to be losing games to Texas A&M at the end of the season, a bad Texas A&M all the time. That's not going to happen. And I think that the closer we get to the season, the more curious I will be about this Florida State LSU game that opens the year. Is really a very good marquee matchup. Probably the best matchup. Ohio State Notre Dame was really good. Georgia Clemson was really good. But FSU and Florida State, that's a really good opener to the season. I have to say, I think as big a deal, maybe it's just revisionist history, I'm not sure. I was a bit more intrigued by Ohio State Notre Dame than I was with Clemson Georgia. But that I think is definitely revisionist history, because that Georgia Clemson game was, number 5 versus number 3. And number 5 was a lot better. And neither team could score at all. But I think for the Dogs, when you talk about not scoring, that's the other thing too. When you look at this scenario here, one of these days I'm going to get the board going to show y'all again. It is complete, by the way. But when you look at where Georgia's at here, the defense is still this is probably the best linebacker group in the country. It's a very good front seven because of that. Not that you lose Jalen Carter and people say, well, you lost your best player on defense. That is completely true. What is also true is you're returning a lot of really good players. I mean, this past season you essentially lost Robert Beal, who's an NFL player, Jalen Carter, who is an NFL lottery pick, and then you lost Barry Alexander, who could have developed into a really good player at Georgia. But you're returning a slew of players, multiple multi-game, season starters, essentially. You're returning Brinson, Stackhouse. Well, I'll do it by starter. Logue, Walthour, and Stackhouse. Now, Brinson made plenty of plays, but he wasn't a starter most of the year. And then you're going to return, Williams, Ingram Dawkins, Jefferson. That line is legit, man. I mean, that is the real deal there. And I think that's something to watch as time goes on. Hey, look, I know it's that time of year, and when it gets really busy, you're going to want to take time for yourself. That's why we've got DoorDash. We can't do these. Dawg Post is going to have a hard time existing without our sponsors. Please, take advantage of this offer and get 50% off your first DoorDash offer, $20 value. The code has changed. It's Dawg Post Summer. It's the summer of Dawg Post. We're going to get you to put that in the box. Dawg Post Summer, 50% off, a $20 no minimum subtotal, and $0 in delivery fees. When you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter the code Dawg Post Summer. Don't forget Dawg Post Summer for 50% off the DoorDash app. Make sure you're taking advantage of that now. When you get to the beach, or if you're at the lake or whatever. I was never a lake person. If I want water, I need the beach. I'm not judging lake people. Y'all do your thing. I'll be at the beach. I'll be at the beach because there's sand in any beach, in any lake that's got sand. I don't trust that lake, man. I just it's either been brought in or no. So I mean, and I don't mind the critters at the ocean. I'm cool with sharks. I'm not trying to be friends with alligators. We're not doing that. So when you're doing your thing, make sure Dawg Post Summer, take advantage of that now with DoorDash. But this is another season where this team, there's no one in their way. There's no one team you're sitting there going, man, at Tennessee is a tricky game, no doubt. But Georgia should win that game. And when you take a hard look at some of these numbers and the probabilities and all this stuff, Georgia should win that game. And I expect them to, but hey, I mean, Kirby said it. It's they're gearing up for another run at a championship. I don't. There's no reason they can't win a third title in a row.